Even dead, he is dangerous. That's what they say about the first emperor of China, Qin Shi Huang, the founder of the Qin dynasty. There are almost as many legends about this ruler as there are soldiers in his famous Terracotta army. What is known for certain is that at 30, he inherited his father's throne. 10 years later, he conquered 7 principalities and became the ruler of a vast state, dividing it into 40 districts, thereby weakening the local nobility. He established a single standard for currency, the width of carts, the writing of characters, and ordered the burning of almost all historical works. They say, not without reason, the emperor had something to hide in his past. Qin Shi Huang began the history of China with a clean slate, but the most grandiose message of the ruler to his descendants still cannot be fully deciphered. The emperor's necropolis is a mystery that scientists have been grappling with for almost 50 years since its discovery. Why has no one dared to enter the tomb yet? And what is the secret of Qin Shi Huang's immortality, which he managed to find at the end of his life? A luxurious collection of ritual weapons, a pair of camels made of gold and silver, and 6,000 bronze coins. Archaeologists discovered all these treasures in the tomb of an unknown warrior near the mausoleum of Qin Shi Huang. Now, the task of the scientists is to understand whose remains lie inside the sarcophagus. Perhaps the answer to this question will shed light on one of the many mysteries of the life and death of the first emperor of United China. After all, no researcher has yet dared to open the tomb of Qin Shi Huang himself. And there are several frightening reasons for this. The resting place of the legendary emperor was discovered half a century ago, quite by accident. Chinese peasants were digging a well near the city of Xi'an when they stumbled upon a strange clay sculpture. At first, they thought it was a statue of Buddha. At first, they thought it was some kind of temple or something. You would think these were temple sculptures, but they dug it up. Someone sold a figurine for 10 yuan, which is just a few cents. Well, archaeologists quickly arrived and started excavating. It turned out that it was not some temple, but the largest archaeological find of the 20th century and one of the largest in human history. The burial complex of Qin Shi Huang was built in the 3rd century BCE. It took 38 years and 700,000 workers to construct. The mausoleum itself, in the form of a truncated pyramid, is located under a mound as tall as a 25-story building. Around it stretches a giant underground necropolis, the scale of which is breathtaking. It is approximately the size of the island that is the heart of New York. Yes, Manhattan. That is, it is a truly grandiose miniature universe. This is no joke, it is actually like that. Qin Shi Huang wanted it that way. It is a replica of the capital city, which at that time had 2 rows of walls. Since ancient times, rumours have circulated about the curse of Qin Shi Huang. They say it will befall anyone who disturbs the emperor's peace. Popular belief named the peasants who found the ruler's burial as the first victims of the curse. Due to the excavations that began there, they lost their land and were ruined. One, out of desperation, even took his own life. But according to historical sources, some of the mausoleum builders met an even more terrible fate. Those who actually participated in the creation of the tomb itself, after finishing the work, entered the tomb and were sealed inside. They remained so that no one would know or tell what was inside. In the burial complex, archaeologists discovered about 100 graves. Researchers believe they belong to the wives and concubines of Qin Shi Huang, who were killed immediately after the emperor's death. The ancient Chinese historian Sima Qian mentions this in his records. Sima Qian even writes specifically who was killed, those wives and concubines who did not bear male heirs. If you are the mother of a boy, well, thank you, continue. If you haven't done anything, so to speak, you will go to the afterlife. The entrance to Qin Shi Huang's mausoleum is guarded by the Terracotta army. More than 8,000 life-sized clay figures of infantrymen and horsemen, along with their horses, stand in formation. According to legend, each of them was sculpted from life so that after death, the warrior's soul would inhabit the statue and continue to serve the emperor. All the sculptures in the Terracotta army are indeed unique. They find thousands and thousands of figures with unique faces. Today, 3 models have already been created. For example, they studied the ears and found that they are all different. They all have different earlobes even. Of course, it is not the formidable appearance of the terracotta warriors or the rumours of an ancient curse that stops scientists from opening Qin Shi Huang's mausoleum. There are far more real threats. Sima Qian, in his historical records, mentions deadly traps, crossbows that literally fill the tomb. I think that for the Chinese, with their fantastic level of technical genius and ability to mass-produce things almost like a factory, they could very well have made such traps in this pyramid. But we don't know for sure. Sima Qian also mentions another deadly danger. Allegedly, inside the mausoleum, the builders created rivers and lakes filled with mercury. Soil analysis above the tomb showed that the concentration of the toxic metal in the ground exceeds the norm by 280 times. The problem is precisely that if the sarcophagus is indeed completely sealed, the mercury concentration inside is quite high. That is, the concentration of mercury vapour. And it is quite dangerous, of course, for researchers to simply open this sarcophagus. There is a theory that Qin Shi Huang died from mercury poisoning. Throughout his life, the emperor sought immortality. Court alchemists prepared an elixir of eternal youth for him. They added cinnabar or mercury sulfide, perhaps the most toxic mineral on Earth. Mercury sulfide is red, and red is the colour of life and generally the colour of Chinese culture. Mercury is one of the key elements. Moreover, mercury, being a metal, changes its state of matter. This has always fascinated alchemists, and not only alchemists, but rulers as well. But even the poisonous mercury vapours and possible deadly traps do not frighten scientists as much as the risk of the tomb collapsing. Today, we can scan the tomb. We see voids and this complex structure. But how to carefully reveal all this without losing this beauty? At the moment, there is no answer to this question. Gradually, technology is allowing us to get closer and closer to solving this problem. And most likely, in our lifetime, we will see the Chinese begin to open Qin Shi Huang's tomb. Meanwhile, scientists have come closer to unravelling the identity of the owner of the sarcophagus found near Qin Shi Huang's mausoleum. There is every reason to believe that the remains of Prince Gao, one of the emperor's sons, lie there. According to legend, he voluntarily agreed to end his life. The prince asked his younger brother, Hu Hai, to kill him. This weak, undemanding boy was placed on the throne. Well, he ruled for a short time and also followed his father into oblivion. After that, his son took the throne. But then the next dynasty rose and the Qin dynasty was swept away. The dynasty that Qin Shi Huang intended to rule China for 10,000 generations outlived its founder by only a few years. Yet, at the end of his life, the emperor managed to find the secret of immortality. It lies in Qin Shi Huang's mausoleum itself, which immortalized the memory of the great ruler. Some researchers believe that the grandiose structure, with its mercury rivers and lakes, is nothing less than a model of ancient China, united under the rule of the first emperor of the Celestial Empire. Therefore, even after death, Qin Shi Huang remains forever among his domains.